right, so yeah, so the first game we're going to be talking about today for this is a title. This is one I actually did get quite a while ago. We're going to bring this up here on my primary monitor first. So this came out back in May, and I actually got pre-release coverage for it. So this is a game called Horizon Chase Turbo. This is actually developed by a team in Brazil called it's either Aquiris or Aquiris Game Studio. I don't know how you pronounce their name. They've been around for a little while now. This one's kind of neat now because it has a demo as well. So you don't even have to take my word for it. You can just grab it and try it out yourself if you want. This came out back in May. So this is on the PC. I don't know if it came to consoles as well. I believe they have plans for that, but I don't know if it's actually come there yet. The reason I was originally interested in this game is because it was it looked like an Outrun kind of thing. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting, because I friggin' love me some old school Outrun. It's not really. And I'll show you this. I do kind of like it regardless, even though it is a racing game. It's not necessarily going to be to everyone's taste, I don't think. But you'll see what I mean here. So let's fire this up. This is on PC, of course. This plays fine with a keyboard and mouse, though I will play it with a controller because it is a racing game. So this is interesting. This game is this when you hear it would initially turn a lot of people off, but it shouldn't. This game is actually a port or a conversion of what was originally a mobile title. Now, as soon as I hear that, like most people, I'm like, oh, God, no. Because there's been a lot of garbage mobile conversions to PC. But you know what? These guys did it right in a couple of different ways. So what they did was they converted it. It's a good port. It's a very well done technically. It's got all the proper PC options. It's going to see it's got a whole bunch of proper options. It's got a whole bunch of good controls. It works well with keyboard and mouse. It supports multiple controllers properly. It does all of this other stuff. And it's they also completely changed the progression. So I don't remember if on mobile, I believe on mobile this was not a freemium game. It was, you know what, I'm going to check right now so that I don't get that wrong. So the original Horizon Chase that was on mobile was, oh, I take it back, it is free to play. Oh no, it isn't, it's a demo as well. It's 5 circuits for free, and then you actually, it is a pay-for game. But the progression is very much mobile-based in terms of how it works. This is not. They redid the progression for this so that it plays like a proper PC game, which is one of the things I really like. But this is more of I wouldn't call it a puzzle game, but it's not a traditional racing game. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. I actually really like the look of this. It runs really well, but it's got this interesting sort of light polygonal look to it, if you know what I mean. Like, you see what I mean about the look here? I don't even know really what to call this, because it's not Minecraft-like, but it's I don't know, but I really like the look. I like the popping colors, I like that stuff, and the fact that it runs super well is really nice. So, as you progress through the game, you're going to go into these different regions of the world. So, I've been playing this for a while, so I'm at Brazil now. But you see there's Chile, and you'll go to different countries on different continents, right? See, there's Iceland, which I would really love to get to because I friggin' love Iceland. The UAE, India, China, Japan, Hawaii, which would be really neat. And there's different race events in each one. And so there's multiple different zones that have different tracks in them with different conditions here, as you can see. And, oh, hey, Bilal plays this. Oh, that's neat. And what you do, so we're going to go back to the early level here. So what you do is you start with, as you can see, there are a redonkulous number of cars in this game. There's 31 in total. And what you do is you earn this currency stuff by doing races that you can spend to unlock the cars. There is no ability to buy stuff for money. You can only earn, in the PC version, you can only get this stuff by playing the game. But the cars have different abilities, and you can install upgrades, and these upgrades are permanent and they go across every car. And the way you earn upgrades is by doing what's called upgrade races, which is that if you max out all of the other races in an area, you unlock this bonus race, and then you do the bonus race, and if you complete it, you unlock a permanent upgrade. And the game actually starts out fairly difficult, but it gets easier the further on you go, because you can go back to old areas where you previously got your butt kicked with the upgrades installed, and then suddenly kick ass, which is kind of a neat way to progress it. So we're going to go back to the beginning here and pick this car that I've gotten very good with. So here's how it is. So what you got to do is very simple. You have to come in first place, of course. There's also some other little things here. So much like Mario Kart, if you can time your acceleration off the line correctly, you get a little boost off the gate here. And then as you go through the track, you see how there's these little sort of coin pickup things there. Atomic Ninja, holy crap, dude! How the hell are you? Good to see you, man. And these are bonus objectives, so you don't have to get all those. But if you can get them, and you have to remember where they are, because you can't get them all in a single lap. So when you get around to the end of the race, if you have them all, you get a bonus, effectively. That's pretty much all there is to it. And you earn the currency for the races by completing these different objectives. And if you want to perfect a race, which has the sort of mobile game 3-star system in it, then you have to get all that stuff. You also saw there's those little gas cans that I could pick up. So you can run out of gas in this game if you're not careful. So there you go. See, I picked them all up there. So those not only help you keep your gas charged up, but in addition to that, if you finish a race, the more gas you have in the tank when you finish a race, the better off, or the more points you get as well. And you see there that I've been using those little turbo things. Well, that's why this game's called Horizon Chase Turbo. You have only a certain amount of turbos to use per race. And this is the part of the game that does kind of irk me a little bit, which is that if you're not careful with how you time out your use of the turbos, the enemies can kind of screw you, because, so you see, I blew through that race easily, but this was actually very hard when I started the game. And I beat Bilal. Haha. Oh, just barely too. Suck it. Awesome. So you see here, I have all the tokens. I got first place. I have maximum fuel, and boom. 120 out of 120 points. Plus I get 10 bonus for having the fuel. So there it is right there. So, and then you could just move on to the next thing. So, yes, Ninja, I saw the subject. I might make that, if I can hit my $2,500 stretch goal for Extra Life, I might make that one of my next stretch goals. That looks amazing. It really does look good. And I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, my week went pretty well until the end. Yesterday kind of sucked for reasons I won't get into. They're work-related, which was a bit of a bummer. Not my employer, something else, which was kind of a pain. So anyway, yeah, so basically you go through this and you do these different objectives, and then you get your upgrades. So we're going to let's move on to sort of a later area where I was hanging out here. So you see I've been having a bit more of a hard time with this. Right, so I did max out that one. So this is a rather interesting track. Like, take a look at this, right? Of course, there's leaderboards as well. You have leaderboards with both your friends and a global leaderboard, which is pretty interesting as well. And where things get interesting in this that kind of bums me out a little bit is the way that the AI is in this. So you see I screwed up the start there, and just like in Mario Kart, right? If you accelerate off the line incorrectly, you'll sort of blow your start there. This isn't a very hard thing to learn how to time right. So there we go. I did it right there. So the problem that this game does have to do with the AI, and the fact that the progression in this game is very much based around rubber banding and learning how to min-max your use of turbos effectively. So I actually just got an extra turbo there from picking that up, which is pretty rad. So the problem is that you've got to, if you want to get ahead of guys, you've got to turbo at the right time, because if you turbo too early, you won't get ahead of them. And then if you turbo too late, you'll get ahead of them, but they will inevitably catch up to you, because regardless of how much you have your car upgraded, regardless of how much you have your car, you know, properly tuned, you think, for the race, you're gonna run into a problem regularly where the enemy, where the other drivers always seem to get ahead of you somehow. That is a phenomenon called rubber. Oh God. That is a phenomenon called rubber banding, and it is very prominent in racing games. It is a way to make the game challenging in kind of a cheap way that less observant players don't notice. Essentially what happens is enemies get a bonus to their statistics. Even if you have a superior car, they will always find a way to be right on your ass, and always right just, you know, right in the spot they need to be to give you a significant challenge, even if you should be blowing past them. And the problem with this is this game does this in spades. And if you don't time your boosts properly in the later races, you will never end up finishing. This was the problem I had when I started the game off, is that I could never get ahead, because you see this guy here, you see how I just can't catch him? Even though I have an upgraded car, you see, or how they'll always somehow find a way to just jet in front of you right on time. The only way I'm going to probably win this race would be if I boosted at the last minute and got ahead of him before he had a chance to catch up at the finish line, which of course I can't do because I used all my boosts too early. And you really have to learn how to min-max that in order to pull this off, or you won't win the race. And that's something I'm not the biggest fan of. I've always thought rubber banding is effectively giving the computer a license to cheat, which I've never been that big a fan of. I've never really liked that. So actually I didn't even do as well there as I did in my previous run. Granted, it's been a long time since I played this. Now you see, you still earn stuff, right? Even though you didn't, even though I didn't complete the race, technically, you do, or I didn't make all the objectives, you do still earn some stuff, right? And it does allow you after a certain point to move on and do stuff. So actually I did unlock an upgrade race here, which I believe you have to pay currency in order to unlock those. But for this, you have to win the race. And again, this is a race very early. This is a race that I'm probably not properly equipped for. Now let's see, this car technically has better specs, but a lower top speed. So let's try him out here. And see what we can do. So, there we go. The upgrade might help. So what you got to do in this game is you have to accept the fact that you're going to lose a lot initially, and you're going to have to do several races over and over again when you have different progression and different upgrades in place in order to be able to eventually. This is not a game where you're going to redo the same race until you win and then you move on to the next and then the next and then the next and then the next in a linear fashion. You have to be prepared to play a race for a bit, lose it, move on to the next one, lose it some more, get enough currency and win enough upgrade races in order to get what you need to become competitive, and then go back and win those previous races again, or run those previous races again in order to get a victory that was basically impossible before. Some people like that method of progression in racing games, others don't. I think it's kind of cool because it exposes you to a bunch of different elements of the game and it makes the grind a different experience. It's less repetitive and you're not going to get bored by being stuck on the same track over and over again until you finish it, which I think is cool, but it's also not... the thing I just don't like is the fact that even when you come back to a race where you have gotten significantly more powerful, the only real way you can win in the end, like I said, is to just min-max it and time your boost so that you get ahead of the enemy, and you're playing it in almost this like calculated mathematical way. And you see there, right as I got caught up to him, he mysteriously got himself another boost and he got ahead. Now I've used my last boost, and while I'm right on the ass of the guy in first place, I probably won't catch him unless I manage to perfect these turns. Also, this is obviously not a game that plays in a realistic fashion at all. Oh, crap. This is a game that doesn't play realistically in the slightest. It plays almost like a slot car racer to a point. You see the way the cars in this are kind of just turning. As soon as you hit a turn, they just kind of go, and they just sort of turn like that. Yeah, so that is very much... Oh, I got just enough fuel to get to the end. That was lucky. So you see there on the little mini map in the upper left corner that when your fuel gets low, it will actually pop up and tell you where the fuel on the map is so that you can plan, which I like. And I actually won that, which is pretty awesome. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to get an upgrade. Movie! Holy crap, dude. How the hell are you? It has been far too long. Oh, it is good to see you, my friend. Okay, so you can see here, this is a permanent upgrade that we'll get to take retroactively back to the other races. So we got the gearbox, which is acceleration plus nitro and steering. Nice, nice. And then we have fuel system, which gives you more fuel and more acceleration. That's kind of a cool one. I think we're going to take that. There we go. So we've got that upgrade. So you see what I mean? You kind of have to go back and forth like that. And I like that to a point, but the only thing I would say that I don't like about this game is the fact that it is an exercise in min-maxing the AI's rubber banding. If that's something that bothers you, if rubber banding in racing games is something that irks you, this game will irk you a lot. For me, it's not a deal breaker only because the races in this game are relatively short. This is a game, because it originally came out on mobile devices, this is a game that is made to be played in short spurts, or rather can be played in short spurts. So you can fire it up, do a couple races here and there, and then, you know, be like, okay. Also, the phrases your guy spits out are hilarious. You can do, a couple of races here and there and bounce out and come back later. You don't have to devote hours into this like you would in a bigger racing game like the Forzas or a Gran Turismo or something of that nature. This really doesn't require that from you. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I meant when I covered this to try out the mobile version to see how it compares. But honestly, to me, it feels like those two things would be very different realms, right? I don't think that the mobile version is going to play a lot different because it's on a phone, and I don't really think it's a good thing to compare the two directly. What I really love is that Aquiris did put real effort into this PC and console release. The port quality is good. They didn't put in crappy garbage mobile progression systems. They redid the whole thing, understanding that, hey, this is a game that we're going to release for PC and console players. We're going to charge up front for it. It's not going to be microtransaction driven, and we can't just slapdash convert the code to PC, charge money for it, and say, here you go, which is what a lot of mobile ports do. They put real effort into this, and I really respect that. I think that's pretty cool of them. So you see here, even with that upgrade I got, probably still not going to win this race, because getting out in front here is still really, really tricky. But as you can see, like I said there, this game, this really plays like a slot car racer in many ways. This is not a simulator. Good lord, not even a little bit. Oh, and I missed the last couple of coins too. This does not play like a slot car game at all, wow. This does not play like a sim at all. This does play like a slot car game. You do still have to feather the throttle sometimes and be careful about how you approach turns and things like that, but it sort of throws you into the turn automatically, and really all you have to do is just hold the right stick or just hold the stick to the right and just feather the throttle to make sure that you don't skid off. That's really all there is to it. So this is not a complicated game. In many ways, it plays almost like a racing puzzle game with how you have to time the competing against the enemy AI. And like I said, some people are not going to enjoy that. I think it's kind of cool in the way it works. And for 20 bucks when it's not on sale, it's 20 bucks US this game when it's not on sale. And I think it's a pretty fair price. There's a lot of content in here, which I think is pretty cool. Oh, new best. Sweet. There is a fair amount of content in here. All right, Ninja, we'll see you later, man. Thanks for popping in, eh? There's a lot of content in here. There's a lot of tracks. There's a lot of cars that have very different statistics. You know, you have incentives to go back and do other tracks or to do races over and over again. The visuals are varied. I think the visuals for, you know, the art style in this game is somewhat simplistic, but I really like it. It's very colorful. You know, these backgrounds are really cool. This sort of low poly, not really Minecraft visuals, but it's got that very blocky, chunky look to everything. I like it. I think it's a bit of a unique visual twist that really pops out and looks really cool. I like what they did. Yeah, I can't check it movie while I'm playing, but I will after for sure. I like what they went for here. There's not a lot of games like this. I know there's been a lot of mobile sort of pseudo-puzzle racing games like, what is it, the Asphalt GT series and things like that, those crappy Gameloft titles. I've never touched them because Gameloft stuff is kind of crap by and large. It's mostly derivative ripoffs, which I've never been a fan of. But this doesn't feel like that at all. This feels like a team that knew what they were making and really put some effort into it. And it's, you know what? Mobile games and PC and console games are so wildly different, or rather they should be, that it's really, really hard to make a game that's going to target both audiences and figure out a way to make it appeal to both. And that is definitely what they did here. They actually made this, hey, at least I got all the coins. All right. They actually made this work. It's, as I understand it, the mobile version is a pretty good, largely not scummy mobile game. And this PC and console version stands on its own. If I didn't know that this came out on mobile first, I would not have necessarily thought this, damn it, that this was a conversion from mobile. I would have thought that this was a standalone product for PC and console. So good on them for that. From a studio that is not super well known, at least in this part of North America, that's a hard feat to pull off, and I generally think they did. Whether or not you're going to like the type of racing experience that this offers is another question entirely. If you're looking for the next Forza game or the next Gran Turismo, you're not going to find it here. If you're looking for a kind of goofy arcade racing game, you're probably not going to find that here either. This is a very casual, very light game that does have a casual element to it. You know, very easy to learn, but definitely very hard to master. This is not. This is a game that will start out kicking your ass pretty bad initially. Let's try a different car here. This game will initially start out kind of kicking your ass pretty bad. Like I said, I had to play it for a couple of hours before I was ever able to 3-star even the early races, until I learned the way that this expected me to do the progression, and the way when I learned the way it wanted you to do it, because I'm very much used to the linear racing type of games where you get your one race, you have to max that race, and then you move on to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. That is not, as I said before, that is not how this works at all. And it's neat that, so it took me a while to learn that, and when I did, I was like, oh, that's how you want me to do this. Okay. So it was a little bit revelatory in that sense. Peace of mind prevails, indeed, sir. So it's trying to fill, it's not even trying to fill a niche. This is really kind of operating in its own niche, which I find pretty neat. And I always like devs that are willing to take a risk on that. And I think they did pretty well with this one. $20 is, you know, a not insignificant ask, but like I said, there's a lot of content in this, and the best part is they took the old school approach of putting out a demo, both on PC and on mobile. So if you want to give this a try for yourself, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go to Steam right now, and I believe this is also on PSN and Xbox. We'll confirm that after the fact. But you can actually go try this sucker out for yourself. And wow, this car I kind of like. I missed all the coins, but well, okay, I did like this car. until I friggin' hit the wall. See, I did it again. I always pull the Too Soon Junior from Fast and Furious and use all my my turbos too early, so now I'm not going to catch the guy, and that was entirely on me. But I got second on my first time out, which is not too bad. So, there we go. We're going to get some coinage for that. So that's another thing I didn't mention. The coinage you don't get from doing... I think I might have said this in an error before. You don't get more coins from going back and doing old races. You only get the maximum amount. So, see, I got 97 of 120. I won't get any more coins from doing this race until I get the remainder of between 97 and 120, and then I'll get credited for that. So that's just a thing to keep in mind there. But you sort of see the basics of how this works, and as you go further in, you're going to go into different regions of the world that are more complicated, that have more difficult tracks, that have different surfaces. There is weather in this that does affect things. There are different track surfaces. There's different environments. As you can see here, also hitting the other opponents is completely unrealistic, and it does have an impact on the gameplay. But you don't damage your car, you don't you don't cause a wreck, you don't do anything like that. But you see, in some of these shorter tracks, things can get a little hairy. And at night, it gets harder to do stuff in some cases, right? Because you can't see as well and things like that. Keep calm and let me pass. Yeah, that's something I wish I could say on my commute every day. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. You know, when I was researching it for PXA Peaks, I kept coming back and poking at it once in a while, and I never got around to doing the video, but I was always like, yeah, you know, there's something to this. It's kind of neat. And it's something I recommend. If you're not sure whether you like it or not, go try out the demo. I know this has been on sale a couple of times already as well, and it probably will be in the Steam Holiday Sale. But I mean, you can say that about every game, right? It's not really a big thing to. It's not a big revelatory thing to say that, right? But I've been enjoying this. You gotta like what it's going for. It is as much a puzzle game as a racing game, and you've got to, like I said, you've got to like what it's putting down here. You know, it's not, even as casual racing games go, this is different than what you may be accustomed to seeing. But I kind of like the idea behind it. I like the fact that it's casual and that you can play it just in little bits and starts. Hey, Bilal, thank you for the host, man. I saw you on the leaderboards in this piece, so that's pretty rad. Nice to see that somebody else has been playing this. So I actually got code for this game back in May, and I never got a chance to cover it, which is one of the reasons I'm doing it today. But it is a good game. I do enjoy it. I was just telling people, you kind of gotta know what you're getting into with this, because this game isn't a traditional racing game, and even as casual racing games go, it's a little different in terms of how it plays. It's almost like a puzzle game in some respects. But as you guys can see here, races go very quick. So you have a lot of opportunities. There we go. So you see, because we had 2,600, we've now unlocked South Africa, even though we didn't finish Brazil. That's exactly me, Bilal. That's why I requested code for this, is I was like, this looks like a modern Outrun, and that is awesome. And it's not Outrun, not even close. But what it does, it does cool. And I have been enjoying it quite a bit. And the fact that this was originally a mobile game that got a really, really good PC and console conversion, and they completely altered the progression to make it work for that audience, rather than just putting in the same, you know, crappy progression that most mobile games have. I really got to give them credit. The devs put some real effort into this. Like, we get so many garbage quality conversions of mobile games to PC on Steam, and this is not that. Like I said before in the stream, if I didn't know ahead of time that this game came out on mobile, I never would have thought it did. I would have thought that this was just a game that was made for PC and console, which is really something impressive. And that it came out of this smaller studio from Brazil that I really had no knowledge of is pretty neat. I think they did a good job, but. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about this. You guys have seen a little bit of this here. I know I said I was going to give an hour to each game, but there's really not a lot more to show of this one in terms of what makes it unique. As I said, don't take my word for it. There is a demo for this available, so you can go try it out yourself. But it is Horizon Chase Turbo from Aquiris Game Studio. It is $20 US on Steam on normal price, which I imagine it's the same. I believe we are going to check after this, but I believe it is on the PS4 and the Xbox One as well for probably the same price. Yeah, I think you get a decent chunk of value in this for your $20. You could put some real time into this and get a lot of fun out of it, which I've been enjoying it. I'll be keeping this installed after I finish covering it, and that is, oh balls, and that is something I don't say about every game. You know, there are games where when I finish covering them, I'm just like, yeah, even if that was cool, I just don't have time for it, and we're going to come back to that later. This is one I'm going to keep around. Yeah, stays in, bro. I'm going to run out of fuel, so I'm going to totally fail this race. See, some of these later matches, you really got to pay attention to your fuel, because if you screw it up, you will bomb out of the race entirely. Oh, I got just enough. Okay, at least I can complete it. I'm not going to get all the coins, and I'm not going to win, but at least I'm going to probably come in third. There is also a purchase option for this to get it with the soundtrack as well. I think the music in this is all right. I don't think it's something I'd buy, and I don't think it's something I'd put on my phone to listen to on the go, but it's pretty decent. It's got this sort of half chiptune vibe to it that I like. So, all right, there we go. Yeah, I was behind a little bit, so see what we got here. See what I mean? I just really love the presentation of this. I think they did a really, really nice job with it. So, all right, guys, there we go. So that's the first game in Indie Showcase Saturday today. That is Horizon Chase Turbo. As I said, it is a game that I think is pretty cool. Not going to be for everyone. You gotta want to pick up what it's putting down. But if it looks cool to you, it is on Steam here. There is a free demo. Otherwise, it is $22 or $22 Canadian. That is $22 US. And what we're going to do is let me just go check here real quick and see if this game is on consoles. I am certain it is. So it is definitely on PlayStation 4. Wow, these guys have actually done more games than I thought they did. That's pretty cool. Interestingly enough, all they have now on their site is trailers. They don't actually have any info about the game, which is kind of weird. So it is at least on PC and PS4. It might be on other systems as well. But yeah, I enjoy it quite a bit, and I do recommend it if you're into this kind of thing. But give the demo a try, see what you think. Like I said, I've been having good fun with it. So that is the first title, guys. We're going to come back with another one shortly. And so stick around for that, and we'll have another cool indie for you very soon.